Maximiliano Hernández. Just want to compliment for keeping your whole full first name, Maximiliano, versus to shortening and sometimes like they do.
Yeah, no, mine was very much like my whole name was going to be the name. Even whether I wanted, because when you're a kid, you don't want to write Maximiliano in script. And the nuns were like, no, you got to write out your whole name. So I remember writing out Maximiliano Hernandez all the time. But, and it's a family name. So to me, there was never an option of changing it or anything.
That's good. Good. It says a lot of your personality, I have to say.
It does. It does. And you're not the only one that said that.
Well, I did want to ask, is it true that you moved to Charleston after you filmed MrMercedes?
You know what's so funny? I do. And not only do I live here, I actually live around the corner from the house that we use for Brendan Gleeson's house on the show. And when I bought this house, I didn't know that. And then there's a community garden that's really pretty. And so I was like, oh, let me go. And I'm walking and I'm like, is that oh my God, I live around, I had no idea that I lived around the corner. It's around the corner and down the block. And it's so funny because I freaked out. I was like, I had no idea. But yes, I did the show. I've never been to Charleston before. And I had done the show. And I really, really fell in love with the city. And I'm born and raised in New York and in Brooklyn. And then I lived in Los Angeles for about 15 years. So I've lived in huge cities. Yeah. And then coming to this city and just like, it's completely different. It's really beautiful and small. And, you really kind of get to know people here. So it was a complete change and I absolutely loved it. And then, I've been able to work just by, if I audition, I put myself on tape, but everything is now on tape or Zoom. So no one's ever in the room anymore. So it's worked out. And then COVID hit. So it was actually, it was perfect timing for it to all kind of happen this way. I believe that things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Lucky you. I'm still here in LA. Well, let's talk about MrMercedes. How does your character, Antonio Mendez, develop for this third season?
Oh, Antonio Montez. Yes.
I'm sorry, Montez.
It's okay. Well, this season is a crazy season. So I've said this before. I've been very lucky that my character isn't original to the books. My character was written later, so it gives me like perfect freedom to do whatever I want. And I've always had that ability to play with the character. This one is good because this season is crazy. First of all, there's a whole slew of new actors on the show for this season. They're phenomenal actors. They're really, really good. And what I like about this season and my character in particular and the other characters as well is that we are finding out like what the collateral damage is from what happened in the first season. So season 3, literally, it connects directly to what happened with MrMercedes, the MrMercedes killing. Like it correlates directly to that. So we see like the shock waves of it even 2 seasons later, and so I really like that. And it gives us, my character, especially because I wasn't in the first season. So for my character, it connects me to that, like, because I lived through it, but my character wasn't in the season. So, but I can say like, oh yeah, wasn't that terrible when that happened in our town? You know what I mean? So it is able to connect me to those events and how our group becomes our group,
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned, and you've said multiple times, the advantage of playing a character that's not part of the book. Mm-hmm. But is there a disadvantage anywhere?
Well, I guess the disadvantages are that people who read Stephen King books are amazing fanatics. Mm-hmm. And they like things to be as close to the books as possible. Mm-hmm. So, and then because the characters that they read in the books, and they become instantly endeared to them, they become definitely connected to them, and they create this world of the character as they read. So they never really they never got to do that with me. They never got to do that with, the Antonio Montez character, had he been in the books. Like I wanted to, I don't have that connection with the audience that way. It's solely what I create on the screen right there in front of them. And I'm hoping that they chuckle or they think I'm kind of funny, or like he's, you know, like they think maybe he's a little crude. Like I want to have that sort of level. I don't get that because I'm not in the books, but you know, I think David did a really good job writing my character and sort of fleshing me out a lot, so the audience could kind of like have some level of connection to me.
Now, if you could pick a role to play from MrMercedes that is in the book, which character would you have liked to play?
Well, I mean, I would love to play Hodges. I mean, I would love to play the lead. I would love to play Hodges. Would never be able to play like Brendan, but it's just a great flawed character. I love characters that aren't, you know, I like them, you know, the ones that are heroes that are a little dirty. You know what I mean? Like that they have their issues and they have their problems. I think you have that kind of conflict, your character becomes a lot more three-dimensional. And that's always interesting for an actor to play a character that's, you know, feels fully fleshed out. And, you know, it's nice to play the mistakes. It's hard to play like when someone's like really good, you know. It's easier to play when it's like they pretend to be really good and then they go home and they like are nasty. You know, it's like you got to see more depth to them. So I think Hodges would definitely be the one that I would want to play.
And right now you mentioned, you know, Brendan, and in this case, well, throughout the years, you've had a long history when it comes to films and so forth and shows, but you've had a chance to work with high caliber actors. In this case with Mr. Brendan, do you till today learn or take anything from working with these high caliber actors?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt. I like to go into an environment knowing that I don't know everything. And I definitely love to absorb and learn and ask questions. And you do that with the interaction on camera, but also when, you know, when you're sitting in your chair waiting to go back in and you get to know about the person, or, you know, I've seen them in the movies just like you have. I've seen them in television shows just like you have. So, you know, you sort of lionize them and they become like this, like, kind of character. But it's when you know them on a human level that you really like get the respect, like you respect the amount of work that they've put into building that character. Brendan is always that. I mean, when you see him, when he did, you know, the Donald Trump thing, I mean, that was like insane when he did. And I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's gonna win a Golden Globe and an Emmy for his performance as Donald Trump. And it came out, when I first heard it, like, you know, it was like in Variety or something. I'm like, Brendan's doing what? You know, it's like he's playing Trump. But it shows you like his ability to put the work in and to fine tune and to make little changes and to really make a character his. And, you know, how could you not learn from that? You know, there's a couple of things for me is, especially almost every scene that I had, almost every one, I believe actually maybe everyone was with Brendan. My character is with him. Like whenever you see him, I'm like if you see me, I'm going to be in a scene with Brendan. And my main thing, I've always kind of like been very prepared. I'm a very prepared person. I go to work, I know my lines. You know, that's not something that you have to worry about. And it's the same with him. I've been doing this like now, I think the first time I did TV was 25 years ago. So like at this point, like it's finding the words and getting it down is the easy part. And then what becomes more interesting is when they bring something that I wasn't expecting, or I bring something they weren't expecting, and to make the changes and to be able to play. Brendan Gleeson is the best dance partner I've ever had on screen, period. You know, period. It made me a better actor. It made me show up to work prepared. It made me show up to work on time. And also incredibly enthusiastic to get going with the day, like really get in there. So yeah, he's phenomenal. I definitely learn every time I step on. I try to learn from everyone, but having Brendan with every scene that I do, you definitely learn.
And so in your 25 years, you've had a chance to play roles involving, you know, playing characters in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Why do you feel these you seem to fit these characters so well?
You know what? I don't, that's a good question. I don't know. I think it's maybe because I can experience both levels of the dilemma that if, like, let's say a cop has to do two things, right? He has to assess that what the person is telling them is the truth. So in that, he has to slightly believe them, but also slightly not trust them until he knows the facts for real. So I think I can put myself in the middle there where I'm like, I mean, I grew up in a very bad neighborhood in Brooklyn. I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. So when people say some stuff, my chin goes up and I'm like, like I don't really, I won't 100% trust anyone till I get the facts in myself. So I think that's a element that police have as well. That I think police have that. I think prosecutors have that to some degree, that they take things with a grain of salt and then they, send out their people to really go looking and finding. And yeah, so I mean, and you're right. I have played a lot of cops and a lot of lawyers and agents and stuff like that. And I'm not quite sure how that I landed there. I know at the very beginning it was a lot of like criminal stuff, and I stopped doing that stuff. I was like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel like it pushed my career forward. And I think also being a Latino, like I didn't want to just be like, oh, so it's just like another Latino criminal part that you want me to play. So I kind of stopped doing that stuff for a while, unless I found that the criminal had a deeper meaning and some kind of heart, like the stuff in Sicario, like to me, I felt like if it contributed and you saw that there's a reason why this person is behaving this way, or, choosing to break the law, it's because of his family. It's because he has to take care of his son. It has, like, I wanted it to be levels like that. So, yeah, I mean, so early on it was that, then I stopped, and then the cop thing, lawyer thing, agents kind of thing stuck. I don't know why. Maybe it's the way I talk. I have no idea. It could be that, but it's been fun. I enjoy, and the thing is, I enjoy doing it. I kind of enjoy playing like a cop. It's a lot of fun.
I think
Especially if
you've
he's
learned a lot too.
I have. I've learned a lot. I've gone on ride-alongs with cops. I've, interviewed attorneys who are prosecutors. I've done a lot of. I've interviewed crime journalists who like write on the crime beat, like in newspapers. So the beauty of my job has really afforded me an ability to like reach out to people and say, hey, I'm playing a character similar to what you do. Can I talk to you for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or can I hang out with you for an hour while you're doing your job so I can see what it's really like? It's fun.
That's great.
I mean, if I'm going to play pretend, I'd rather make it really seem real when I'm pretending.
Yeah, of course. You're never going to get in trouble. You're always going to get out of it.
Yeah. I'd be like, I know a guy, and I'll pull out one of my many precinct cards that I have in my wallet.
Right?
Yeah.
You're still in Charleston, though. You're good.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good to go. I'm in little old South here.
Well, I have to ask, since this Mr.Mercedes is based on something from Stephen King, what is one of your Stephen King favorites?
Oh, Misery. Misery is my favorite Stephen King. In terms of movies or movies, I would say it's Misery. I think it's, Annie Wilkes, the character Annie Wilkes that Kathy Bates played, was just phenomenal. Like, just phenomenal. What a crazy character that was, and so complex. It's easily my favorite.
Great. And just to wrap up, is there something you can share that you will be seeing you in besides Mr.Mercedes?
Right now, the only thing people ever see me on is Zoom. Because,
Zoom.
it's essentially shut down everything. So I'm preparing to direct my first feature. So that's kind of like what my focus has been about. And it's something that I wrote. I started writing it during Obama's time and then into Trump's time. And it revolves around child separation. And so, yeah, so it's very timely, and the story itself takes place like in 2018, at like when the child separation stuff started. So yeah, it's what I'm trying to put everything together in place so we can shoot it possibly toward the end of the year. You know, everything is tentative on vaccinations and just, you know, how quickly people can get back into the mix of things. And, you know, yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's very nerve wracking. I'm very hesitant to talk about it because it's like things are happening, but it's moving forward. I'm very, very, very excited about it.
Well, thank you for sharing. That's a very touchy, sensitive topic, especially in the Latin community. And thank you for bringing that up. I mean, you're part of the Latin community too.
I am. With a name like Maximiliano Hernández, you can't run away from being in the Latino community. And I'm very proud to be in the Latino community too. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's like me, Nancy Tapia. I mean, you can't hide.
Exactly. You can't hide. I know. I remember when someone was like, "Oh, he's Latino," and I looked at them. I was like, "Yeah, my name is Maximiliano Hernández is like the Smith of the Latin world, and like, you know, like there's no running away from it." So, but yeah, I'm very excited about, you know, what's to come in 2021. I think we all are.
Yes, indeed. And are you going to be just directing or are you going to be in it too?
No, I'm not going to be in it. It's going to be, I need to find some new young actors. We find there's one character that we see him at 7 and then 17 and 27.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's narrated. So the film is narrated in Spanish, but it's really bilingual. The film's in English and Spanish, but it's narrated in Spanish by one character. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find some good actors, a couple of kid actors too. So it's gonna be very, very interesting.
You'll find there's some great young talent out there.
Yeah. We have a fantastic pool of actors in Latino community. So I'm very excited.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Maximiliano. Good luck to you. We're thrilled to see you again for season 3 in Peacock, March 4th. Mucha suerte con tu proyecto y cuídate mucho.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Gracias. Adiós.